India is pouring $100 billion into roads, tunnels, air bases, and surveillance grids across the Himalayas, dramatically cutting troop transit times and building outposts just 30 kilometers from China's frontier. Beijing calls it a military provocation and has issued 3 warnings in 6 months. If these assets tip the balance, the next border clash could escalate in days, not years. What's driving the world's biggest peacetime arms race on the roof of the world, and could it really trigger a conflict no one can control? At 10,000 feet above sea level, the Border Roads Organization is turning the impossible into asphalt and steel. Where mules and foot patrols once struggled for days, convoys now move in hours. The Atal Tunnel, stretching 9 kilometers beneath the Rotang Pass, has become the world's longest highway tunnel above 10,000 feet. Opened in October 2020, it cuts the Manali to Leh journey by nearly 50 kilometers, transforming a snowbound bottleneck into a year-round artery. Trucks, fuel tankers, and troop carriers roll through even as blizzards rage above. Further north, the Darbuk-Shok Dowlat Beg Oldie Road snakes 255 kilometers along the Shak River, linking Leh to the edge of the Karakoram. This route, once a patchwork of jeep tracks and risky crossings, now allows battalions with heavy equipment to reach the farthest Indian outposts in less than a day. Before the upgrade, this journey could stretch into a 2-day ordeal, often interrupted by landslides or snow. Now, a single well-coordinated convoy can deliver hundreds of tons of supplies, bridging the logistical gap that once favored China. Border Roads Organization field teams work through sub-zero nights and landslide seasons, racing to finish new links before the next winter. In October 2024 alone, the agency inaugurated over 90 projects in a single day, each one a new lifeline to a forward post or a remote village. The mountains are being carved, tunneled, and bridged at a pace never seen before. Every new blacktop strip is more than just a road. It is a statement that Indian forces can now mass, reinforce, or resupply almost anywhere along the frontier, no matter the season or the terrain. At nearly 14,000 feet, jets now touch down where only helicopters dared before. The Neoma Air Base, carved into the Ladakh Plateau 30 kilometers from the line of actual control, boasts a 2.7-kilometer paved runway, a runway long enough for C-130J transports and soon frontline fighters. This is not just a landing strip, it is a forward launch pad built to keep Indian air power within minutes of any flashpoint. Fuel farms, hardened shelters, and new aprons spread across ground that, until recently, froze solid half the year. Military planners call Neoma the crown jewel of high-altitude readiness. For Beijing, it is a warning in concrete and asphalt, but India's push is not limited to airfields. Across the border belt, the government is pouring nearly $500 million into the Vibrant Villages program. The goal is to anchor permanent civilian life in over 600 remote settlements, many in valleys that once emptied out each winter. New roads, schools, and clinics are only part of the story. Each village now links to a digital grid, 20,000 4G towers planned for the frontier, bringing high-speed connectivity to 30,000 border hamlets. For the first time, soldiers and villagers can call, stream, and transmit images from the last outpost to command centers in Delhi in real time. These projects transform the frontier from a seasonal outpost to a year-round stronghold. Here, villagers become the eyes and ears of the state, their presence as strategic as any battalion. India's message is clear: the border is not just a line, but a living, connected front that will not be abandoned, even in the thin air at the roof of the world. On the other side of the Himalayas, China's engineers have rewritten the rules of military mobility. The Sichuan-Tibet Railway, completed in stages, now delivers 10 million tons of freight a year into the plateau. Bullet trains on the Ya'an-Linji segment, operational since 2021, cut the journey from Chengdu to the Indian border to just 13 hours, a route that once took days by truck over twisting mountain roads. These rails are not just for tourists or grain. Each carriage can be loaded with armored vehicles, missile units, or entire battalions, moving at speeds that leave convoys far behind. The G219 expressway running from Xinjiang through western Tibet has become the backbone of China's border logistics. Widened and repaved over the last decade, it allows heavy trucks and troop carriers to reach the frontier year-round. Feeder roads branch off toward the Karakoram, Pangong Tso, and the valleys facing Arunachal Pradesh, giving the People's Liberation Army direct access to every flashpoint. Where India relies on a handful of mountain corridors, China's network offers redundancy and depth, multiple axes for rapid reinforcement or supply. Rail and road are fused by design. Military planners in Beijing can order a regiment from Chengdu or Lanzhou and see it arrive in Lhasa within 48 hours, then forward deploy by highway to any threatened sector. During major exercises, entire brigades have been observed unloading from trains, refueling, and rolling out toward the border in less than a day. This mechanical speed advantage is a force multiplier. It means that, in a crisis, the question is not whether China can mass forces at the frontier, but how quickly and how many times over. Dozens of new villages have risen along the Tibetan borderland since 2017, each stamped with the promise of prosperity and the unmistakable mark of Beijing's strategy. Officially, these are xiaokong, meaning well-off settlements, clusters of concrete homes, paved lanes, and fresh utility lines in valleys that were once empty or disputed. But beneath the slogans of rural renewal, these outposts serve another purpose. Many residents are veterans or militia trained to patrol, report, and if needed, mobilize. Satellite analysis shows grid pattern layouts and helipads, roads wide enough for military vehicles, and communications towers linking each village to higher command. In some cases, the line between civilian and soldier is blurred by design. Nowhere is this dual-use approach clearer than at Pangong Tso. Here, a new bridge completed in 2024 has halved the time it takes People's Liberation Army units to cross from the lake's north bank to the south bank, an area that saw violent confrontations just 4 years earlier. What once required a long, exposed drive around the water can now be done in minutes, giving Beijing the ability to shift forces rapidly in a crisis. This bridge is more than a shortcut, it is a lever of control over contested ground. Behind these moves stands the Western Theater Command, headquartered in Chengdu. Since 2016, this single command chain has unified all Chinese operations along the Indian border from Xinjiang to Arunachal. Orders flow down from a central staff coordinating road crews, village committees, and People's Liberation Army brigades with a speed that leaves little room for local improvisation. Every new village, every bridge, every paved road is a physical claim, anchored not just by law or map, but by people, infrastructure, and a command doctrine built for quick response. The result is a frontier that looks civilian but can harden in hours, embedding China's presence deep into the high Himalayas and turning local development into a strategic reality. The command is deliberate, the frontier is changing. Every hour now counts at the line of actual control. Indian and Chinese staff officers track convoy positions and airlift schedules almost in real time. It no longer takes weeks to build up force. A battalion can reach the front in a single day, and a full brigade can be in place within a week using a mix of highway convoys and tactical airlifts. In Ladakh, a C-130J can land at Neoma with heavy equipment, while trucks cross the Atal Tunnel, closing the gap between depots and the front. On the Chinese side, regiments ride the Sichuan to Tibet Railway, then roll out by highway to any sector in under 72 hours. Both sides have compressed their timelines so tightly that a local skirmish can draw in thousands before political leaders have even finished their first call. The math is simple: the faster the reinforcement, the less time for diplomacy, and the greater the risk that a border incident spirals out of control. A border skirmish can go from warning shots to artillery in less than a day. War game after war game finds the same pattern: a local clash that spirals before anyone in Delhi or Beijing can call it off. In these simulations, accidental escalation is the most frequent spark. Commanders on the ground act fast, and political leaders are left scrambling to catch up. Almost as common as the slow motion approach, China pushes a new road or outpost a few hundred meters forward, betting India will not risk a full-scale fight for a sliver of ground. When Delhi does respond, the result is often a brief, brutal exchange that both sides think they can contain. The third path is the wild card, Pakistan seizing its chance, a Taiwan crisis pulling China's focus or unrest in Kashmir or Tibet, lighting a fuse neither side can control. Each scenario is shadowed by nuclear arsenals. China now fields 500 warheads, India 170 warheads. Both claim no first use, but both are building faster, more survivable forces. War games rarely end in victory. Most stall at bloody stalemate or teeter on the edge of nuclear release. The real danger is not one side's plan, but how easily a border incident can trap two nuclear states in a cycle neither can escape. Right now, soldiers from two nuclear powers stand just meters apart, armed and ready with no hotline and no crisis protocol. Modernization makes conflict faster, not safer. In an age of instant escalation, the real risk is not confrontation. It is believing control is still possible. What do you think?